Welcome back on Diamond. Today I want to propose you a video about the unboxing review about the White Dwarf issue 474 for March 2022, released by the Games Workshop. We can see that this is not a simple White Dwarf, but it includes a lot of addition, and we can find that there are a lot of things. So we have 3 posters that we see quite soon. We have cards that we see also quite soon, and so we have this one that then inside has the White Dwarf itself, that it's mainly related about the Harlequins, but not only. So now we can open this one and see the contents a bit better. We can begin seeing the posters. The first one that we see is this one about the shooter and ladder. That it's really nice. Anyway, I show you up here the real one so that you can make a decision if it's worth or not. And then we have a double-sided poster of Total Warhammer 3 that I think that it's really quite amazing. Sincerely, about this I always a bit pity, because they are quite amazing, as you can see, but the problem with these ones, that anyway I make you see better in up here so that you can see both this and the other one, that it's this one, that are really wonderful ones. Anyway, the pity about this is that are double faced, so you can't have both of them made scene, and it's a bit of pity, this one. Anyway, they are really quite interesting, so eventually I suggest you to think about choosing one of them, or simply take them aside so that you can simply have them how we want them. Then we have the cards, part of the cards, because some are inside the White Dwarf, and we have these ones that are one about the Blade of Khorne that are inside here too, and one about the Beast of Chaos. These ones are the Skull Altar and the Hearthstone. About the Hearthstone, I want to remember you that it was such one, the same that it was published with the previous White Dwarf, the 473. Anyway, this one is detachable. Instead, the one that is inside is simply something that you had to photocopy, so it can be interesting. I think that they didn't have something better to publish together with the Skull Altar, so decided to do such choices. It's not bad, but anyway, it's simply we can say a redundant one. Anyway, it's quite amazing to talk about, because I think that it can be really interesting for the ones that are interested about one of such arms, Beast of Chaos, and about the Blood of Khorne that we see quite soon, the Blades of Khorne that we see quite soon. And then we can add to the ones that we have seen before some other additions that are inside the White Dwarf, and are the cards that we can find, that are these ones that are about Kill Team, and they are not the only ones. In fact, we have also these ones, as you can see, again about Kill Team, so other 8, and then we have another one that is these ones, where you can find other about Kill Team and other options that are related about the Idoneth Tipkin and about these defense layers. So you have to pay a bit of attention, because there are a lot of things inside. I don't like that it's done such, so that it's a problem to have these combined and so on. I would have preferred that would have been detached, these ones, because it would have been better to manipulate and so on. Instead, see here as there are, because there are other additional. I think that it's a bit problematic to have the good ways to open and read the White Dwarf without detaching them, but you have to do this and risk to ruin the White Dwarf. So, being a collector also of White Dwarf, I don't like so much about this type of inserts. Anyway, there are quite a lot, and they are quite interesting for the ones that are going to play with such Kill Team, or anyway the other armies, because they can be quite interesting. So eventually remember about thinking about this. And instead, seeing about the cover, we can see that it's little about the Harlequins, because there are a lot of information about that one inside here. So we can find a lot, and we can go to see a bit better right now. We can see the contents. We can start from here that we had the alternative cover of the White Dwarf that sincerely I like a lot, and I prefer to the one that it's of this White Dwarf. Remember that you can have this only if you subscribe to the White Dwarf, so you have the alternative cover with the subscription. Here we have the introduction that make you see what are the inside and present you once that there are the contents inside and the add-on that have been added. Here we have the contents of the White Dwarf that are not a few, so it's quite interesting. And here we can find about the mini reader of the readers to the White Dwarf itself. And as always, I suggest you to go to see about such ones, because you can find a lot of interesting things that can be quite useful. Because for example, you can find about basing that you can interesting about to personalize your models, painting, also this base can be interesting. So give a try about such ones, because you can find a lot of scheme of colors, a lot of little ideas that you can have, and so really use them a lot. Remember that you are not to have that you have to do exactly as it is. You can simply try to gain some little things, some ideas. So don't worry that maybe you want to, I don't know, maybe such scheme of colors can be interesting, but not on such model one another, or a detail that you like and you want to add to something else. Not worry too much, because this it's a way to have ideas, and I like because this is the main theme. And then we have an article from Phil Kelly that talk about how you pronounce certain words. Sincerely, from when I seen the pronounce of Gal Maraz that it was Gal Muraz, okay, but anyway, it can be really quite interesting to understand how you pronounce certain words, because there are a lot of different pronunciation and it can be quite interesting to know. I think that it's really quite useful, this one. Then we can begin with a bit of Warhammer 40k that here make you see a bit of Imperial Guard against a bit of Chaos, Berserkers, and we can find here the flashpoint about Markmut, that it's the new, I can say, not special but part of the history that it's developing in the universe of Warhammer 40k, so it can be quite interesting because it adds a lot of information and really can be interesting. And then we have something related about the Astra Militarum, so the scheme of colors, and this I think that it's really interesting because it's not only about the painting that you can use for having such scheme of color that you can change and so on, it's not a problem, but it does make you associate what are the different options that you have for the Astra Militarum. So it's a way to have and gain maybe some I can say curiosity about some of such type, and then develop your own army. So I think that can be really quite amazing, and we can find a lot of information, suggestions, scheme of colors. I think that they are really quite amazing and give you also some idea of other painters painted such models, and so how you can realize having a lot of, for example, this can be an idea for a little scenario that you can create and so on. So it's really quite amazing and give you also background related. So I think that it's really something to go to look about. Here we have this that it's about kill team, and so it presents you about the options, and there are a lot of things. So if you're interested about kill team, I think that can be really quite amazing. And it continues because it presents you how to use the Harlequin on kill team. So it gives you a lot of interesting and points and so on that you can use. If you are going to play kill team, this is something that it's almost a must, because there are everything related about the Harlequin stances. So it's completely full, and I suggest you really to go to see about this. Okay, it's only about kill team, but anyway, I think that it's amazing. And here you have also the way to personalize, for example, your Harlequins. So I think that can be interesting to understand how to paint, for example, how to make such type of designs and so on. And it can be really interesting. As you can see, there are a lot of options, and you can use such ones to understand how to paint, how to create something, but you don't have to think that they are only related about the Harlequins. You can use such, I can say, tricks also for other things, so that you can really make them better. And then we have about the Warhammer 40k an article of Duncan Novok that talks about some of the army that it had to create. So you can think that it can be quite interesting because it makes you add a lot of information that can be quite useful. And here we have an army gallery that can be quite interesting. It's about the orcs, and as you can see, there are a lot of options that can be seen. The Eskimo colors that sincerely I don't like too much, but it's my opinion. Anyway, they are painted amazingly. It's simply my taste. The Eskimo color that has been used and so on. I think that it's really quite a nice army anyway. And so it can be really quite interesting to understand choices or so on, or develop a project. And here a gallery about how to create something with the new models that are released about the Bandai Namco, and you can personalize and so create a lot of different options, models and so on, and have a bit better that you can paint as a statue. You can treat as a statue on the battlefield eventually, but they are really quite amazing to have something peculiar, or try to paint something different, because maybe you want to try a different scale and paint the details and so on, and so you can find a lot of options. And then we move on Warhammer Age of Sigmar with this amazing image that is quite amazing, with the Realm of Metal, and here it had a lot of information related about, so that you can develop also an army about such Realm of Age of Sigmar, and you have also locations so on, so I think that it's quite interesting. And then we have about the Tome selection for the Blades of Khorne. So we have a lot of background that can be really quite useful, because anyway they are not treated so often lately, so it's a way to understand better such army, or know such army for the first time if you never known about this. And here we have the update of the Blade of Khorne to the new edition Dominion, so it's quite interesting. Here we have this sword update that I want to remember you have the one that can detach eventually, so it's a good option. And we have this with all the rules about open play, match play, and about the Path to Glory. So we have really everything that can be quite interesting about. And here we have a campaign related about this point for the Blades of Khorne, so it can be really quite interesting to develop your army. Here we have the card inside this White Dwarf, so that you can make it better. And so it can be really quite interesting to have a developing about everything. And here instead we have the rules of engagement. Here we have about Louis Aguilar that talk about the Idoneth Deepkin and the rules about them, and so I think that they can be really quite interesting to read for the ones that play them, because they can understand better the thoughts about some of the rules that are about the new Battletome about them. And then we have new rules about Warcry, so it's really quite full of rules, this White Dwarf, because it's really quite amazing. We have these cards that are inside here, so you can use them, and really you can find a lot of new rules options that are quite interesting. And instead here we have about Warhammer Underworld, the Harrow Deep, so the new edition. And as usual I love the armies about Underworld, because I have some of them, and you can find my playlist about the unboxing and so on in the description. But I don't play, so I'll not comment about the rules, because I don't know them and I don't play them, so I don't talk. Here we have about the Aeronautica Imperialis, so we have new rules related about, and it's quite interesting, because it's a way to make them a bit better and so on. I don't play it, so I not value something that I don't play simply, but I like, in this case for example, here we have the flyers from the Elder against the Necron that are quite amazing. And really, seeing such images, I almost have every time the idea to take some of such models simply to have them, because they are really amazing. And then we have about Middle-earth with an article related about the rules and so on, the way to play them, and so the way to make the options that you can play it better. So it's up to you decide if you're going to play this, if it's interesting, but I like the models, the scenarios that are present and so on, so I really like. And then we have a little thing about the Black Library. So we have a little novel that we can use, and this can be really a good way to understand if you want to take some books or so on from the Black Library and so on, because it can be quite interesting. In the case that you are not talking English, usually it's a way to develop a bit of English, because it can be quite interesting. In the case that you have never bought something related about the Black Library, it's a way to know the authors, the themes and so on, because maybe you don't like an author, but you like the concept of an army and so on, and so you want to develop and make a deeper side of what it's about that army specific one. So you can choose, for example, another author that you like that wrote about that army. Anyway, I think that they are always quite amazing to read such ones, because it's a way to have a bit of Black Library with you, because you buy the White Dwarf and you have something additional. So I think that it can be quite interesting, because for example, this continue in the other White Dwarf, so you can, along the White Dwarf, create some books inside here. So I think that it can be quite nice. And here we have the Inside Studio that make you see what will brought in the next White Dwarfs. So it can be quite interesting to see, because it's a way to have a foresight about it. Maybe we'll see something later about the Blood Angels, I hope. And we know yet that in the next issue there will be the Caradron Overlords update to the new edition Dominion. So as you can see also from here, there will be a lot of interesting things to read for the ones that play dwarfs about the Caradron Overlords, so it's really quite interesting. So what to say about such White Dwarf? I think that it's really quite interesting. As I said, about reading it and so on, I don't like the inserts that are inside, because ruin a bit the experience about the reading this White Dwarf. But I like what are inside, because there are a lot of rules, a lot of background. You can really, if you play Clean Team or Warcry, it's almost a must. If you play Middle Earth, it has a lot of things. So there are a lot of interesting things and a lot of idea about how to paint, how to modify eventually and so on, that can be really quite useful. So I think that it's worth. It's up to you decide if it's worth for you, but it's something that I suggest, because add quite a lot of options about background, rules and so on, that can be really quite interesting. And I think that the posters are a really great add-on that can be interesting to display on your walls or so on, if can be interesting for you, because Total Warhammer 3, it's a game that I really like as a dear concept and have great images to go to see. Anyway, from Dynamod it's everything. I invite you to put a like on this video, to subscribe to the channel, to ring the bell, and to comment this video if you are interested in something about this video, or you want to suggest me some arguments for other videos. I hope to see you again to the next time.